I do this process every year, and I just kind of wanted to show how I organize and set up my Supernote and the thought process behind why I have it set up the way I do. This video is going to be broken down into 5 different parts. So in this first section, I'm going to talk about the system that I'm using to organize my Supernote, and that's going to be Tiago Forte's Second Brain. So I'm going to be using the sticky notes because I'm a visual learner and to demonstrate how I'm doing this. So in that second brain system, there is a method called the P.A.R.A method. P.A.R.A for me becomes the framework. So if we were to break down P.A.R.A, so the first P in P.A.R.A stands for projects. So these are going to be your short-term efforts with clear outcome of start date and end date. The next section is going to be your areas, and these are pretty much your ongoing responsibilities that you don't really end but require consistent attention. The next section in the P.A.R.A method is going to be your resources. So these are going to be your useful material that you may find that you need to reference later, like articles, quotes, or ideas or anything like that. And last but not least is going to be your archive area. So these are going to be your completed projects and inactive material, but you don't necessarily want it to take it out of your Supernote, but you just don't want it to be cluttering your active system. So how does this look like in my Supernote? So before I open my Supernote, I have to think about these projects, areas, and resources are going to be my active sessions, and archive is going to be my completed sections. So I have to keep that in mind. So when I turn on my Supernote, I see this root folder here, and I cannot control how or what this looks like, and there's no difference between the document and the note folder as well. So for me, I'm going to want to put the document or the archive in the document folder, and I'm going to say the note folder is going to be my active folders. So I'm going to move projects, areas, and resources inside the note folder and keep archive in the document folder like this. Okay, so the second section I'm going to be talking about is the top-down organization. So I don't follow everything to the T with this system here. So let's say I'm going to open my note folder. So this right here is going to drive me absolutely crazy. So this doesn't look so bad, but when you go into the areas, there's so many folders going left to right that if I were to open my Supernote and see this, I would be overwhelmed. So instead of going from left to right, I have to somehow imitate this going vertical. So I want it to look like this. So in the options on the top right corner, there's a little icon here that you can sort by, order, and view. So what you want to do is you're going to want to click on, well, that's your preference, but there's 3 options for the view. I find that the middle one has the best option for me as well as aesthetically for me. And there's another option here, a third one, but this one is a little bit too small for me. So I like the middle one. This option really works for me is because I'm essentially replicating this motion. So I can see each area one by one as if I'm looking inside a box and opening it and taking out one item at a time, as opposed to having an onslaught of all of these different options. Because I'm someone who, if I see a squirrel, I'm gone. So I'm trying to keep the distractions to a minimum here. So the third section of this video is going to be the landing page. So I think you may have already seen it as I was scrolling through. So if I go back to the root and I open up the note, I purposely put this landing page here because this acts as my central hub for my yearly projects. So I'm going to open it up. Okay, some people call it their dashboard, their home page. I call it landing page because I overall like the travel theme here. So what I've done with this page, this is again becomes my central hub for my yearly projects. So I have links assigned to different corners of my image here. So if I were to click on this image here, it's going to navigate to my project list in a separate notebook. And I'm just going to go back to my landing page, and it does that for all of these, how I have it set up. One feature I do wish Supernote did have is the ability to link folders. So then I would just link these areas here to the specific folders that I'm looking for. Because the landing page is my central hub, this will change over time. So this is not a permanent structure here, but the how I have it formatted like this will stay the same. Just the links, I will change up the links throughout the year. Okay, so the next section I'm going to be talking about is the quick access. So I had to think about what are the notebooks or folders that I'm going to be using a lot. So I came up with this in my sticky notes. So I want it to look like this. And so this is what I've done with my quick access. So I labeled all of the ones in this order that I was going to be using throughout the year and visiting frequently. So I'll show you a specific example of how I'm utilizing the quick access for one of these. So my daily capture notebook, I create this notebook every year. So since I just created this one, on the very first page of my daily captures for 2026, I put links to the previous daily captures for 2 years, so 2024 and 2025. And how I'm going to be utilizing this is because I put it on the first page, I've turned this into a keyword, the daily captures. So it's going to be daily captures. I can go back to the table of contents and just click on that if I need to refer back to any of these other notebooks from before. And these other two notebooks, you remember how in the beginning I said that the document folder was going to be my archive folder. So these two are actually in that document folder. So I think I've been using Supernote for about, I think it's going to be 6 years now. So what I found is that retention-wise, I like to keep at least 2 years worth of notebooks from previous years. And what I'll do, well, that could be a different video, but I usually just clear out any previous ones to that and put it on my hard drive. Okay, and the final section I'm going to talk about is going to be my favorites. So there's a favorites button up here that's with the icon of a star up here. So this for me is when I'm going into either study mode or research mode, what I like to call I'm going down the rabbit hole. So these are the files that I have to intentionally want to work on. So I'm not going to put it on my quick access. I'm not going to put it in the somewhere that I can just reach to it. This is me intentionally sitting down and saying I'm going to work on these things. So I need to go to my favorites and work on these documents here. Okay, so this basically concludes my video on how I set up my Supernote, and I will be adding in the description. I wrote blogs on these already, so if you're interested in reading those blogs, it will be in the description. So hopefully you found something useful out of this.